was so flattered when they called. You know, I never thought that what we did, never intended for it to grow like it did or to become what it became. But the fact that it touched so many people and resonated with so many people has just meant everything to me. That, you know, I love how many people it's touched and how many people it's inspired, our project. I think there's so many pieces to our story. What began as, you know, almost for selfish reasons, we didn't want to be alone at dinner time. That was the way it began. And then it just kept growing and touching so many different people in different ways and for different reasons. Like, I think what we learned through the project is that loneliness isn't military families alone. That there are a lot of people in our communities who are alone at dinner time for lots of different reasons. Either they're empty nesters or they're widows and widowers or family members deployed. So yeah, I found that our story resonated with mothers because of the aspect of being a single mom for a year. It resonated with people who have a strong feeling about the family dinner table and what that means. People who have a strong sense of family were connecting with the story. And then, of course, the biggest part for me, what it became, you know, each dinner, one dinner at a time, what I found, each time someone sat in Dustin's chair, that for them, even though I think people in our community are really aware of what military families go through, maybe in an ambiguous sort of way, you know, it's not tangible to them. But when people, one by one, when they sat in Dustin's seat, some of them got very emotional about it. They said it was really profound to sit in his chair and realize that this is what it meant, that this is what sacrifice meant. As they were sitting at the dinner table talking to Ford, Owen, and Lindell about their school day, it occurred to them, there's a man halfway across the world who would give anything to be here right now, and he can't for another year. So I think for a lot of people, even though they came into dinner knowing what military families go through, I think they left with a new, deeper sense of what it truly means to leave your family and go serve overseas. So one by one, I felt like, even though it wasn't our intention, one by one I felt like we were kind of educating the community a little bit about what it means to be a military family, and our guests left with just that much more understanding about what military families go through. That what impresses me about military families is that the family members never took an oath. The service member had to take an oath. They are bound to their commitments to their service and to their country. But what's so impressive about families is that they haven't taken that oath, and so everything that they've given, they've sacrificed, has been on their own. You know, what they've given on their own. I would say that's one of the toughest things about being married to someone in the military, and for me specifically being married to someone in the Navy, is that you don't come first, you know, and that's just part of the deal, part of the package. And sometimes it's really hard to accept that and to put that away, that, you know, it doesn't matter what's going on back home. It doesn't matter if you're about to have a baby. It doesn't matter if, you know, someone's mother or father or sibling or somebody has died. Those things often don't take priority over what your spouse has to do for the country, and that is hard to. I think people that aren't married to someone in the service probably find that very hard to believe. You know, that you're going to have a baby and he can't come home, or you know, you're about to have a surgery or your child's in the hospital or whatever, and your spouse can't come home. And there are times that I hate that aspect of it. You know, I feel like it's not fair, and I want you to be here or there. And then there's other times that I feel like I'm strong enough for it. I can do this. I can handle this. And that's one of the things I've always wanted to do with my writing, is show military spouses that it's okay to feel all of those emotions. You know, to feel angry about it, to feel sad about it, to feel patriotic, to feel proud, all of those range of emotions. Because I feel like for years we were only expected to be proud and strong, you know, and it wasn't okay to say, yeah, no, sometimes I don't like it when my husband has to leave and be gone for a year. So In the beginning, I just knew that Dustin's first deployments, dinner time was the absolute hardest, because that's when your neighbor is with their family. You leave work and you see people going home to their family, and you're going home and your spouse isn't there. So it's much more present and obvious to you that there's someone missing from the dinner table. So when I started out saying we'll invite people to dinner, I meant just that I was committing to that we wouldn't be isolated, we wouldn't be alone, that we would reach out to people. I never intended it to be like a once a week thing like it became. So how that happened was we had our first dinner, and then who technically Ford had invited.
Senator Collins, right?
Yes, Senator Collins.
In a technical sense.
Yes. And then after that dinner went so well, Lindell, his 5th birthday was the next week, and so he said, do you think next week for my birthday I could have my teacher over to dinner? And I said, yeah, we could do that. And the teacher said, well, sure, I'll come to dinner, but I'm nothing like a senator. I'm not important like a senator, she said. But I told her that to Lindell, you know, having Senator Collins come was one thing. Having his preschool teacher come to sit at our dinner table was like having Elvis. You know, I mean, he was so excited about that. So that was when, then we were kind of on this then Owen said, oh, well, one week could I have my teacher, and next week could we do this? So we were on this pattern of doing once a week. But where I decided to write the book, because I still, at this point, it was still very much a personal goal. It was almost a selfish goal of wanting to once a week have someone at dinner so we wouldn't be so alone. But where it all turned around for me was dinner 17, because our neighbor was elderly, and when Dustin left for deployment, she went to assisted living, and I always told her, I want you to be one of the first people we have dinner with. I kept pushing it off because Senator Collins had a busy schedule, Congressman Michoud had a busy schedule. A lot of our guests could only come in a certain window of time. So I kept telling Gloria, we can't do it in January, we'll do it in February. Can't do it in March, we'll do it in April. Then finally in April, she asked me to come to her assisted living and read to some of the residents and then have dinner with her. So that was going to be our dinner with the Smileys, number 17. And before the dinner, I called the assisted living and I said, I just want to make sure you know I'll have 3 boys, and how do I pay for dinner? They said, we're all set up for you, but did you know that Gloria is no longer with us? And she had died the week before. And that was where I realized that so often, especially my generation, we say, we should get together, we should do dinner, we should invite so-and-so, we should reach out to our neighbor, and then we don't, because we worry that we're not a good cook, or our house is too small, or, there's a lot of pressure. You feel like you have to be perfect if you're going to invite people into your home and be vulnerable in that way. But missing the opportunity to do dinner with Gloria showed me that Gloria wouldn't have cared if the boys came in their sneakers and sweatshirts or just from the baseball field.
Which we would have.
Which y'all would have. She wouldn't have cared if Lindell had gotten up and run around the assisted living facility, and, she wouldn't have cared if they ate with their hands or their elbows on the table. All she wanted was to spend time with us, and we missed that opportunity because we were waiting for the perfect time, the right time. So we went to the assisted living facility anyways to read, like I had told her I would do, but we weren't planning to stay for dinner. And then as we were leaving, one of the residents stopped us and said, would you come sit at my table? And I was prepared to say, that's very nice of you, but it's been a long day, and because I wasn't sure that the boys, without preparation, would be okay with doing it. But Owen, my middle son, said, sure, what's for dinner? Because by this point, 16 dinners into it, they already, in their minds, dinner was an activity you do with people. It wasn't like an obligation, it wasn't a chore, it wasn't something fancy, it was, we meet people and we have dinner with them. So we went to his table and had dinner, and it turned out that his wife had Alzheimer's. When he said, I know what it's like to be lonely, because for the last 2 years I've been eating alone since his wife had Alzheimer's. That was when all of a sudden I realized this isn't just military, that there's so many people in our communities who are alone at dinner time. And so I think that dinner was where it switched, and I realized, yes, a part of this was educating the community about military families. Yes, a part of it was about our family not being alone, but now a new part of it was that there are so many people who are sitting alone at dinner time and would love an invitation, and they don't care if your floors are waxed or if you have china or if you give them a paper towel to use as a napkin. That there's a lot of people, and like you said, we thought we'd have 52 guests, and I wondered, how are we going to invite 52 different people? I thought probably we wouldn't be able to get to that many. In the end, we had dinner with 250 people, and we didn't even get in all the people that we wanted to. I mean, it was 52 dinners. 52 dinners, but 250 guests, yeah. But what I found in the end is that there are a lot of people who will come to dinner if you just invite them. Truly the life-changing moments, the character-changing moments, character-building moments, I should say, and the memory-making moments happened at dinners with people whose names you wouldn't know. You know, that it was cool to meet those people and it was fun. Yeah. But it's the everyday people, you know, the firemen, the policemen, the mayor, the city councilman, the volunteer at the food bank. These are people who are still very much in our lives today. It wasn't just a dinner. We got to know them at dinner, and now they're a big part of the boys' lives. And I don't know. I told Ford, I said maybe we should go rent an RV and go all around the country, and I'll write about it. You know, we'll have dinner with people all around the country. And Ford said, Mom, we all know how that will turn out. Why don't you just write it as fiction about this? This is what would happen if the 5 of us got in an RV and went around the country. Through the year of doing dinners, you know, people always ask me, are you still doing dinners? And we're not doing it in a formal way as counting them like we did before, and not once a week. But it really, that experience instilled in the boys that dinner is something you do with people. You know, that's how you relate to people. And they'll say to me all the time, if we meet someone interesting, they'll say, can we have that person to dinner? You know, and it's neat for me to watch them learn that, because I really do think that's like, you know, the greatest way to get to know people is when you sit down and share a meal with them.
So when we were talking about when I was getting ready to leave, and we realized it would be hard on the boys, but we weren't quite sure how to help them handle it. You know, once they kind of said that really the time they were going to notice me missing was like dinner time, then as Sarah and I talked about it, we realized, well, if you could kind of turn what would be like the saddest time into something exciting, you know, and try to think of, well, instead of having them just spend a year like missing Dad, what could they do in I guess in the absence of me being there to kind of grow a little bit, you know, have some different experiences and everything. So at first we just talked about like, well, is there someone else who would maybe enjoy coming to dinner with you guys? You guys are going to be lonely. Is there anyone else that might be lonely too? That maybe if you guys had them at dinner, you know, it wouldn't be so lonely. And then, you know, as we talked about it more, you know, Sarah and I thought, well, it wouldn't have to always be the same person, you know, because other people may have a different schedule. And I think the idea started small, but just kind of grew, you know. I wasn't ever jealous. I thought it was an incredible experience that they were having that I was not able to have, you know. So I thought it was a great experience, and a lot of things they did I would have loved to have been there for, but I kind of experienced a lot of it through their eyes and through Sarah's writing and through the pictures that she would post and everything. I guess I knew every dinner they had because, I followed it. I talked about it with them, as it was going to happen, after it happened. But I think that some of the things I was able to see in the book of how they were dealing with it, and how each of the boys, had it kind of affected them differently at different times. So that was a learning experience for me.
Spaghetti. No. Her bread. Pizza.
Pizza's your favorite? Was it better than room service pizza I saw out in the hallway?
Yeah.
Yeah? Was that your piece that was only half eaten?
Yeah. I had 2, 3.
What's your favorite, Owen? What's your favorite of Mom's dishes?
Probably spaghetti.
Spaghetti. So we got pizza, spaghetti. So Ford is yours, the lasagna. So we have all 3 red sauces represented.
But I like the lasagna, but my favorite is actually something she's only made once, and after dinner with the Smileys, she made this like really good chicken with mashed potatoes.
I thought you liked taco.
And it was really delicious. I like taco ring, but that's probably my favorite thing Mom has ever made.
The chicken?
Yeah, that chicken with mashed potatoes.
Lindell, do you have something to say?
No.
No?
Abraham Lincoln.
Will Ferrell. Taft! Taft!
William Taft?
Yeah!
Like the old dead guy?
Yeah! The one that got stuck in the bathtub! Taft! And